Today in this Cardinal tutorial, I'm going to show you how I created this bass patch, and I'm going to be explaining things as simple, straightforward, as easy as possible to make this a pleasurable experience for you guys. I'm very much new to this program, so a lot of this stuff I don't even really know what's going on, but I'm going to try to explain things as best as I can, and so you guys don't get super overwhelmed. But even though there's a lot of stuff plugged in, it's actually much more simple than it looks. So I'm going to start off by showing you what it sounds like and mess around with a few of the different parameters just to give you a taste on what can be achieved. There's a lot of cool kind of acid stuff you can do, and you could make the sound much more dark or bright, and there's a bunch of different things. So I'm going to start off by kind of explaining what's going on here, and then we're going to create something from scratch. So basically what is happening, everything is being controlled by the speed of this clock. Now I suggest watching the tutorial that I made before this on clocks and sequencers. It gives you a much it'll give you the information needed to kind of know what's going on, but I will give a simple rundown on how to do this, just in case this is your first time watching one of my tutorials. So that clock is controlling the speed of the sequencer. The sequencer has notes that were generated, random notes. I didn't program this. This thing decided that, hey, I'm going to put these notes in there for you. I'm like, hey, thanks, buddy. So this sequencer, just like in your DAW, like if you go to your MIDI sequencer, this is basically what's happening. These are all notes, and it's controlling this this bass thing. I would say this is acting more as like an envelope or a filter with an envelope in it, because it's got the cutoff, the resonance, the decay of the notes and everything. So I would say this is more of like a filter envelope, but this doesn't generate any sound. The sound's coming from this oscillator, so you can have tons of different sounds. Even if you get like the right filter you like, you can just play around with the different things, and there's just tons of different stuff going on. So with that, and it's running through a distortion, and distortion then is running through a filter, and then to the mixer, and then out to the speakers. So to make things as easy as possible, I'm going to actually move this clock down here so I don't have to keep scrolling up, because it takes too long. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to erase this, and we're going to just create something from scratch. I don't know what it's going to sound like, but we'll figure something out. I'm going to give you all the basic information for you guys to go play around on your own and feel comfortable on what you're doing. So to erase this, like I did, I clicked and dragged till everything's red, and just hit backspace on your keyboard. So I'm going to keep this clock because I programmed all of my drums that are going to this. I was going to make a whole tutorial on how to do drums from scratch. This is the first time I did everything from scratch, like the drums. But that would have been too long, and I felt it would be more fun to do the bass. So to get the clock, you need the clock. So right click, and then you can go to right here where there's a little search thing, and you can just hit clock. So here's the one I used. It's clocked impromptu. Now you'll notice how it's red and none of the other ones are. That's because I favorited it. And I highly suggest that you do the same, because there's a million different modules for all sorts of different stuff, and to quickly find things, it's cool when it's highlighted in red. Or you could also just hit your favorites. And then, wait, here, let's exit out of this. And then there's all the different stuff that I favorited out of all the modules that are available in the whole thing. So that's a cool way to do that. So like I said before, just select the clocked. I don't even need this, so I'm going to get rid of it. So get a clock going on. And this is going to control the speed in which, oh yeah, I already told you which the sequencer goes. So let's load up some of the stuff that we're going to need. So right click. I'm going to do these like you would probably would. So let's start off with an oscillator. So just hit OSC, oscillator. And I'm going to scroll down until it says the Seesaw. It's from Audible Instruments. You can also search by the brand. So here's Audible Instruments, and then there's the thing that that I wanted. So here is our oscillator. Now we're going to need that bass thing. So I'm going to go to all brands, exit out of there, and just hit bass. There's our bass. It's from Auden. It's called Bass and Acid Synth. So here's this. Now we need a sequencer. So I'm going to right click, go to the search thing, and just hit SEQ. And I like this little baby one down here. It's JW Modules, Note Sequence 16. And then I'm going to need a random generator. So right click, random. Where is it? Is this it? Yeah, okay. Aaron Static, random note CV. Okay, now I'm going to do a filter. Just filter. Okay, here's a filter right here. Surge XT, VCF. This is cool because it's visual. And then I'm going to do a distortion. So distortion right here. Here's a good one. Another one by Surge XT. I think this is good enough to start playing around with. So the first thing that I suggest you do is you take your clock. Now, this thing acts a little funny because even though I have it on 126, this thing is going ×3. Just play around with it until you find a tempo that you like. I don't know why I had to do this from ×3, but if I brought it down to 1 and put this at 126, it went super, super slow. So take your clock, and then right here, your clock 1, right click, take a cable, and bring it into the clock right here on your sequencer. So you notice how it's starting to go. But if you look at both of these, they're going at the same speed, but not at the same time. See, this one starts first. So to be able to reset these both so they're going perfectly with each other, go to the reset right here, right click, just grab a cable, and then go into the reset. Now watch what happens when I click this button, this reset right here. See? Now they're going perfectly in sync with each other. So now that that's going, we can focus on our oscillator and this bass filter thing. So what I'm going to do is take the volts per octave on here, because this is basically like your keyboard. It needs to know what keys, what do these things stand for, which notes you're actually hitting. So to do that, we're going to go into the volt per octave on here, and then we're going to feed the out into where this oscillator is. So this is actually creating the noise, the sound, and it's going into this. I'm going to just call it a filter, man, because that's basically what's going on into the filter. So now that we have this is going into the filter, we can take the gate and we can put it into here, into the gate of the bass filter, because this is going to let it know when to open the gate, and by it opening the gate, it lets in the sound through there. So now we can go out into our distortion. I'm actually going to switch sides with this, so everything's just in order. And I'm going to take the left and bring it into the left of the filter. So it's going to go distortion, filter, and then out to our speakers. So we could bring this to right here. So what I'm going to do is turn this off and then turn these off. So there's the drums are muted, but this channel is going good, but nothing's sounding because we haven't done anything yet. We could just put in random notes. See, we're getting the notes now to undo this. Just click them. You can just draw them in super quick. Just click and drag. So that gives us the notes that we need. So to randomize this, what you do is the trigger. Okay. Something needs to trigger this. What was that? Shoot. I'm going to say that the trigger, what is this? Okay, that can't go in there. Okay, something needs to trigger this. I think it's the gate. The gate would trigger this. Right? The gate is a trigger. Okay, so I think this would go into the random. And then we could randomize. Okay, this is kind of cool. Let's just leave it. So what I just did, if you leave this plugged in, it will, after a while, it'll just create new patterns for you. So if you have something that you like, immediately unplug it. And then to keep getting different notes, you can just keep hitting random and it'll just decide what you want, and you can add the amount of randomness. I think that's what it does. It adds a lot of notes or little notes, or the speed in which it regenerates. It does something. Like I said, man, I'm just trying to figure stuff out too. So with this, we could actually control the octaves. Right now it sounds like it's a little high. There we go. So this is, you could drop down the octave to make it more. You could choose the scale on which it's doing. See, right now it's in minor. You could change it to different things, major and stuff like that. So we're just going to keep it on the minor, and then you can actually control the notes right here on, I think, where it starts or something. If you do this, watch. Just changes the notes. But I'm going to just leave it there at C. So that should give you a pretty good feel on how to control this sequencer here. And I've noticed that there's multiple notes on each one, but only one of them is being triggered on there. This isn't polyphonic, it's just one note. So I can't give you any advice on why it does that. So if you're looking like what exactly notes are it's playing, I had to play around and stuff to see what note actually stayed and what didn't. So I apologize for that. Now we could mess with what I was doing before. Now the cutoff is just letting in more frequencies. Let's just play around. Let's put some drive into this distortion. You can get kind of like an acid feel on here. The cutoff just allows more frequencies in, and the decay is the amount of I don't think it's the note itself. Let's play around with this actually. It's not the note. It's definitely the cutoff filter being decayed. So let's take a small decay. Okay, so this decay is basically decaying the resonance and stuff, and the envelope modulation is how bright you want this decay to start from. I believe if we bring the mod envelope mod up, the sound will start off brighter, and then it'll stop at exactly what your cutoff is. But if you bring up the envelope modulation, this decay can now control this cutoff. So now we can mess around with this distortion. There's actually presets on stuff that you can do. Let's, to get the full amount of kind of at our distortion, let's open up our filter a bit. We could turn on the resonance a little bit, and then have the drive at, a decent amount, and then maybe give it a little bit of res, higher decay on here, probably even higher modulation on here. So let's play around with the distortion types. That's kind of cool. So play around with the filter and the distortion. Also, there's another thing you can do. You can actually control the filter with an envelope if you want. So right click it and then go to ENV for envelope. Here's a good one. You could also go by the tags. Now the tags are like chorus, distortion, just all the different things. These are all the different types of modules there are. So I just want this regular ADSR, and I like this because once again it's visual. You can see the shape of it. Some are just like this mixer that only have the knobs and stuff, and this is cool because you can see kind of what's going on. So for the gate, I believe we also need to do go in from here. Whoops. New cable. Let's go into the gate. Now we can take this and bring it into right here. Okay, it's not doing anything. Oh, maybe because we need to modulate. There we go. So do you see what I just did? Here, let's listen. So you put it into the modulation port, and this is what's modulating the thing. If you click on this, you can adjust the modulation, see how it's going. It controls it. I think there's a positive and a negative, whatever it's doing. Just play around with it. I can't really explain this too good. But if you want it, you can even modulate. So anything is modulating right there, the res and the frequency. If you're done modulating it, click this, and then now you can just control the thing like you regularly would. So this is basically how you can create a bass patch. Let's actually do another random thing. Play around with the random thing again. I'm actually going to take this modulation off and just play around with this. Let's leave the thing pretty open, wide open, and then let's see if we can create a different pattern. Let's mess with this random amount. Okay, I think this controls the amount of notes, because every time I bring this up, more notes show up. So let's turn this down. Now I bet if this is barely on, we hit random, there's going to be way fewer notes. Yeah, see. Okay. Remember, you could always just fill in the ones that if you feel there needs to be another one. So, also, it's noteworthy that... Here, let's turn this up. Let's do a random thing again. Let's listen to it. That's good. Now check this out. I almost forgot about this. You could change the different thing, because this is just a straight... Oh, man, we screwed up. We forgot to unplug it. You can mess with this and get a different tone. Check this out. You can use any oscillator you want, just plug it into here and start playing around. So I think this is good enough for this tutorial for you guys to start playing around on your own. Yeah, okay, if you like this and you want to watch, maybe if you guys want to know how I created all these drums from scratch, let's actually, you can listen to them if you want.